Man from Sweden got a secret anti-aging medicine from aliens who could have lived up to 600 years. On May 18, 1946, 28-year-old hockey player and beekeeper Gösta Karlsson was walking through a Kronoskogen forest in Sweden, returning from the Skulderviken beach, where he enjoyed birdwatching. He was walking through the dark, peaceful forest when he suddenly noticed bright light behind the trees. It was rather strange because, at that time, he had never seen anybody in the forest. So, Karlsson went to check the lights. As he passed the woods, there was a brightly lit disc-shaped object standing in the clear area. At that time, people were not very much familiar with UFOs, and even the term, a flying saucer, had not been invented. No stories about UFOs were published in the newspapers. The only known flying objects people saw were airplanes, fighter jets and helicopters because the WW2 had finished a year ago. After a few years, Karlsson described the object he had seen to the Swedish journalist and ufologist named Claes Svahn. He said that it had been shaped like a disc and stood on two telescopic supports. In the lower part, there was a lowering hatch with a ladder, like on ships. He stood for a while and examined this object, and then noticed a humanoid figure nearby. The stranger was dressed in a white, tight-fitting, slip-on suit with black boots and a belt. A kind of camera was hanging around his neck. There were many humanoids standing near the object. They all had blonde hair and looked like typical Swedes or Norwegians. He saw 3 men near the windows of the ship. They were doing some kind of work inside. Then, 3 aliens came to him. They all were dressed alike, in one-piece white suits with the same boots and belts. After spending some time, Karlsson decided to walk away from the clearing. As he walked through the woods, he felt that he was in some hallucination. He returned to the beach where he came from, sat for a while on the shore, and then saw the flying ship. It made a sound like a vacuum cleaner motor. While in the air, the object began to sway and seemed to be sending some kind of message by blinking lights. Then, it disappeared in the sky over Angelholm. Karlsson was completely shocked after the incident and returned home. At the dawn, he again went into the forest to the same place. There, he found burnt grass with imprints from the supports and 2 mugs from which the ship's crew had drunk. He also found a gold ring and a transparent crystal rod engraved with symbols very similar to the Scandinavian runes. In subsequent years, he repeatedly showed these objects to other people but did not allow anyone to examine them up close and never gave them away for any analysis. In the 1970s, a kind of concrete UFO statue was made in the forest where Karlsson claimed to have seen the UFO. This happened in 1971 when he told his story to reporters and it appeared in Swedish newspapers. But the story of Karlsson does not end there, it only becomes more curious. In the 1970s, Gösta Karlsson suddenly became a director of the wealthy pharmaceutical companies Cernel and Allergen. Allegedly, these drugs slowed down aging, and therefore, all the aliens he saw looked very young. Karlsson also stated that the aliens allegedly solved all their life problems, turned their planet into paradise, and live on average from 400 to 600 years. The way he had got this information is still unknown. In the 1990s, Karlsson worked closely with ufologist Claes Svahn, and in 1995, his book entitled, The Meeting in the Clearing, with Gösta Karlsson, was published. At the same time, although Karlsson and Svahn became close friends and communicated a lot, the ufologist could not help but notice that there are many incomprehensible moments in Karlsson's history as if the eyewitness had deliberately hidden something or distorted it. So, Karlsson had never normally shown to Svahn and his team his artifacts, only briefly. He also did not allow Svahn to delve into his personal archive, look at the medical record and other details. In 2003, Karlsson died of a stroke. And his documents with artifacts have not been found yet.